So I've been working on a project here, and I'm going to showcase that and try to explain it in this video. This video here that I'm recording over is my video, but I try to break it down the best I can. Re-download it, reinstalled the game, past history, no update required, restart at the boot of the game is basically what I was saying. So we'll go ahead and play that out. We may have to speed this up a little bit because I was using this as like notes in a way. So I'll let this part play out here so you could see that my last match played before I uninstalled the game was red card right here. That was the last match played. Red card was the last match played as I was taking my notes in this video to make this video. So we'll go ahead and first match back, Babylon lost, game app shut down, reboot, 4 wins. What I meant by that is that when we got to, so red card was the last match played in our history before we uninstalled the game. We reinstalled the game yesterday. Our first match back was a defeat. When the play of the game happened at that loss, when it started, I hard shut down the game. I closed the app out completely on the PS5. I then rebooted the game and got instantly granted 4 wins. As you can see, here's red card, here's Babs, here's the 4 matches that were won after that. Game app shut down at loss, play of the game, granted 4 wins, is what I was saying. Delete game, reinstall. What happened? Account 1, no history, update required to restart, and so did it did the same thing for account 2. Account 1 has no history on it whatsoever. No gameplay, no history, no stats, nothing. It required an update. Did it, and it did the same thing for account 2. But the funny thing about it is, deleted the game again, booted during install, account 1 requested another update, restart. Account 2 bypassed the update, didn't request it at all, and automatically pulled up storefront ads with no update required while the game was still installing. And I did this multiple times, but I did clip it just so you could see for yourself of what happened on account 1 and what happened on account 2. Here it is. This is account 1 with no history on it. I'm going to hit play game. And you'll see this shit whenever you do this. So you just accept the terms, right? And then right after this, it's going to require an update. There it is. Update requires restart. You know why? Because there's no history. There's no history for it to track me. It can't identify me. It can't script my matches. It can't do anything. So it has no choice but to require an update. And then it'll go through all of its downloading patches and everything else like that. But here's the thing. Why does it keep doing that with no backlog? What is it updating? What is it doing? There's nothing explaining what that does. Now, if I change my accounts, I'll hit switch users, and then I'll select my second account, and then it's going to load in. Okay, and then I'll hit this, right? And it's going to do the same thing where I have to agree to terms of services. There it is. I got to accept all this shit, right? Let's see if it requires a restart. Or is it going to just boot right up and bypass all of it because it knows who I am? Boom. No require restart. Booted right up. And as you can see, the game is still installing. So therefore... So what does that mean? What does this all mean in plain English? The game isn't fair. It doesn't treat all players the same. I showed 2 accounts, one fresh, one with a history, get treated differently before I even launched a match. A fresh install doesn't reset the system. Even when you delete and reinstall the game, it still remembers who you are. That restart required isn't a real update, it's a control ritual. like a digital handshake to rebuild your enforcement profile if one doesn't exist. My match experience is manipulated. I quit after a loss, rebooted, got 4 wins. That wasn't random. That's the system trying to pull me back in. It saw that I quit and it responded with a reward loop to keep me playing. Like a slot machine. Suddenly paying out just enough to keep you hooked. The telemetry. My leash. The account with match history, it didn't need to restart after a while because it already had a behavioral profile. It knew how to handle you. You see what I'm saying? The clean account kept needing a restart because it needed to rebuild that control system every time. The store loads before the gameplay. That's not just bad design, that's priority. Ads and monetization before fair play. So what does this all mean? The system tracks your behavior, builds a model of how you respond to wins and losses, uses the model to control your experience, pretends it's fair, but it's not, reinforces itself when it thinks you're slipping away. My tests, recordings, and breakdown revealed that players don't grind to get better. They're on rails, nudged and pulled based on what the system wants. I pulled back the curtain, showed this isn't about skill. It's about compliance disguised as competition. So why did the account 2 with history get an update required restart after the 4 win streak during download reinstallment? Because the system flinched. That forced update wasn't about patching files, it was about reasserting control. I broke the pattern is what I did. After quitting mid-loss and rebooting, account 2 went on a 4-win streak with sticky aim and KD spike. That's not just a hot streak, it's telemetry. It's telemetry manipulation. I stepped outside my predicted engagement curve. The system then recalibrated. EOMM thrives on control, not dominance. That win streak likely triggered a behavioral outliner flag. The system saw me climbing too fast, too cleanly, and decided it needed to rebuild the reinforcement scaffold. So when I reinstalled, it didn't just say, welcome back. It said, hey, we need to talk. The update required was a handshake. The restart wasn't a patch. It was a ritual handshake. Refresh your enforcement profile, re-anchor your engagement curve, reassert the established leash. And once that was done, no more restarts. The scaffold was back in place. The system had what it needed. So no matter how many times I reinstall the game, it already had what it needed. Because I haven't played any matches for it to track and manipulate. I didn't just trigger system response. I provoked a recalibration is what I did. That's the kind of insight that turns suspicion into structure. So how will they defend it? The same way a magician defends sleight of hand, by calling it entertainment, not deception. Here's how publishers typically justify systems like EOMM when they're exposed. It's for player engagement. They'll say the system is designed to keep matches fun, balanced, or less frustrating. The idea is that by adjusting difficulty dynamically, players stay motivated, but what they won't say is that engagement is a proxy for retention, and retention is a proxy for monetization. Translation, we're not rigging it. We're just helping you have a good time and maybe spend a little more. It's just matchmaking optimization. They'll frame it as a smarter version of skill-based matchmaking, one that uses more data to create fairer matches, but what they won't admit is that fairness isn't the goal. Predictable bullshit is. You're not matched to win or lose based on skill, but based on what keeps you playing. Translation, it's not manipulation, it's machine learning. It's, they'll claim that the telemetry is harmless, that it doesn't track personal data, and that it's used only to improve the experience. But your behavioral fingerprint, how you play, when you quit, what frustrates you is more valuable than your goddamn name. Translation: we're not watching you, we're just watching everything you do. It's industry standard. If cornered, they'll point to other games doing the same thing. Everyone uses engagement models, they'll say. And they're not wrong. But normalizing manipulation doesn't make it ethical, it just makes it harder to spot. Translation: if everyone's rigging the game, is it really rigged? I've already exposed the ritual, the handshake, the scaffold, the reassertion of control. The defense will be to rename the ritual, call it dynamic balance, adaptive matchmaking, or personalized gameplay. But the bones don't lie. And I've got the x-rays. So at the end of the day, can they patch the surface? Can they patch it at all? They can't. Here's the deal. If the system is built around server-side telemetry enforcement, like EOMM profiles that persist beyond local installs, then no amount of client-side patching will erase the core behavior. They can tweak the UI, rename, restart. They can rename the restart prompt, okay, or shuffle matchmaking variables. But the underlying logic lives in the backend, where it's invisible and untouchable to the player. So can they patch it is the question. Technically, yes, but they have to want to. And if the system is designed to optimize engagement, by extension, monetization, there's little incentive to dismantle it. It's not a bug, it's a feature. What I exposed isn't a glitch, it's a control loop. And patching it would mean rewriting the very thing that drives player behavior. They can't just erase it. You know what I mean? They might change how the handshake looks or when it triggers, but the telemetry spine, the behavioral memory, remains, unless they gut the system entirely. So unless there's massive public pressure or legal scrutiny, they're more likely to repaint the cage than unlock the door. Telemetry isn't watching, it's writing. In the script was never yours.